They blitz more than any other team on any down. They load up the box. They typically want, many rushers, rushing the QB, as many one-on-ones at the least that they can have.
It's hard to have any breather plays this week. It's just the nature of how Flo calls it. And, we got to be locked in if we want to have success against this defense.
Interesting. Our Bears reporter, Courtney Cronin, joining us now. Courtney, what are you hearing about the Bears' approach to this matchup specifically?
Yeah, Laura, like all of us, Ben Johnson acknowledged that he has a level of curiosity for how Caleb Williams is going to look against the Minnesota Vikings. He called it the giant unknown, and there are some things that lead the Bears to think the amount they can put on Caleb Williams' plate will be greater than maybe the last time he would have faced Minnesota. So much of that deals with the fact that this is a defense that has pressured teams at a higher rate than anybody else in the NFL over the last 2 seasons. But how they're able to get there with Caleb Williams depends on what he's able to do in practice this week, because the Bears are at a point where they're paring down the playbook. So that should alleviate some of the pre-snap issues that they've shown throughout the preseason. And it's also going to determine how Ben Johnson calls this game and what he said, how much he's able to put on Caleb Williams' shoulders to be able to carry this team. Now, one area Williams addressed today that he feels more comfortable with, something he wants to use as a weapon against the Vikings, is his cadence. Tight end Cole Kmet told me that he felt in Kansas City during the preseason game, he had his best game of the preseason getting off the ball. And that was a credit to Williams, how he used the cadence there, and something that they feel could be to their advantage on Monday night at Soldier Field.
Ooh, that's really interesting. We'll be there to keep an eye out for that for sure, and maybe you'll see it in game. Thanks so much to Courtney. Dan, Ben Johnson, very familiar with Brian Flores and this Vikings defense. What will you be watching for specifically as he faces it with a completely different team and different personnel?
Yeah, second down. Now, Ben Johnson's had Brian Flores' number. When he was the coordinator for 3 years in Detroit, the Lions averaged 31 points a game versus the Vikings defense. No one else did that. And the reason why is because he would often take second down and treat it like third down, anticipating a lot of pressures. This is the Lions last year. Has he taught Caleb Williams to anticipate that pressure? Is he going to blitz, or is he going to drop back? And what are the answers on those second downs where when you think that linebacker is going to trigger and that safety's playing with depth, are they going to turn around and hand it off to DeAndre Swift? No, they're going to kick this ball to the perimeter to a player like a DJ Moore and try to make sure that they're just staying ahead of those third and obvious passing situations. The way that they handle some of those blitz protections or getting the ball out on the perimeter to some of their backs. This time they motion. It's 2nd and 6. We're not trying to get the 3rd and 3 or 3rd and 4. They're trying to outflank the defense, try to beat the defense with speed to the sidelines. And a player, again, like last year, it's Gibbs. This year it could be DeAndre Swift out on the perimeter. And then when you get into those second longs and you're anticipating some of those all-out potential looks, Ben Johnson got creative with how they wanted to block it. When do they take their shots against it? When do you call the play? And do they have the people to handle some of those protections to take advantage of a safety getting out of the incorrect position and some of their perimeter players down the field? Now, Jared Goff had run that for years. He could run it asleep. Is Caleb there yet? And I think the reality for Ben with Flo is, it's not the play, it's when he calls it, and I think that will be the most fascinating part when it comes to that part of the game is, when does Ben call the plays and how does Caleb understand why he's calling it?
And it's almost like the pre-snap operation is maybe just as important as the post-snap operation this week against Brian Flores, who, of course, Caleb Williams is going to see twice a season going forward for as long as Flores is with the Vikings in that defensive coordinator capacity. But it's going to be a lot of stuff that Dan just showed you, and then a lot of stuff that Caleb Williams, Ben Johnson, and maybe even guys on the Vikings defense have never seen before, right? This is the ultimate wrinkle thrower, is Brian Flores on the defensive side of the ball. When the Bears have looked effective so far, when they did look effective in preseason, it felt like Caleb Williams understood pre-snap what was coming. It's a whole different level, right? That was as vanilla could be. But if they're going to succeed in a big-time way this upcoming year and going forward, it's going to be because Caleb Williams becomes as comfortable in Chicago as Jared Goff had become in Detroit, in which, yes, the execution was high and the talent was great, but they were just outsmarting you before the ball was even snapped as well.
Yeah, Courtney's reported all summer long, it seems like, just about how complicated this offense is, and they're loading him up, but maybe there's a little bit of time for that adjustment to happen. Marcus, on the other side of the ball in this one is J.J. McCarthy, his very first NFL start. What do you want to see from him?
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating how Dennis Allen, the defensive coordinator for the Chicago Bears, deploys this defense as well? Do you want to test the first-time starter and try to speed him up as well? Obviously, with having those weapons outside, especially Justin Jefferson, you don't want him to wreck the game. So you cut the head off the snake. I'm interested to see, because this is also, there's a narrative that's going to be derived from this game. One, it being a divisional opponent, but ultimately we saw Sam Darnold have a tremendous amount of success, and we've given Kevin O'Connell a tremendous amount of credit for what he's been able to do with the quarterbacks in this offense in Minnesota. So if it doesn't look well, we're going to squarely place the blame on a young quarterback. Unfairly,
yeah.
We will talk about J.J. McCarthy, and if the development is going to have to take place during the season, and are you going to have to sacrifice wins and potential success of what we've grown accustomed to in order to develop a kid that you drafted late that's getting his first reps in a divisional game? I'm super interested in the plan for J.J. McCarthy and also Dennis Allen plan defensively and how he tries to heat this young quarterback up, who I could still consider a rookie.
Yeah, it's funny because as much as it's maybe a positive when you look at the game from a Viking standpoint that Kirk Cousins and Sam Darnold had Pro Bowl seasons in their first year under Kevin O'Connell, if that doesn't happen for J.J. McCarthy, everyone's going to be like, well, it's not Kevin O'Connell's fault.
It's fair to have big expectations for McCarthy.
Yeah,
it's fair.
Yeah, I like it. All right, time for some more top stories. Adam Schefter back with us. Adam, what is the latest on Jawan Jennings?
What's up, Vikings Nation? Victor here. And wow. The news just keeps getting crazier in Minnesota. First, Adam Thielen is officially back in purple and gold. That already had me hyped because you guys know what Thielen means to this fan base. But hold on to your seats because the Vikings aren't done. Reports are coming out that the front office is planning to flip Jordan Addison in a trade package for Jakobi Meyers. Yeah, you heard that right. Addison out, Meyers in. Why the Vikings are moving on from Addison now before anyone freaks out? Let's talk about the why. Addison's suspension for violating the substance abuse policy really shook this team. He's already missed time with injuries, and now this. And when you're building a roster to win right now, you can't afford to have one of your key receivers putting himself in situations where he's not available. I'll be honest, as much as I liked Addison's rookie flashes, 70 catches, over 900 yards, 10 touchdowns, availability is the most important ability. And clearly, the Vikings don't feel like they can trust him long term. Why Jakobi Meyers makes sense. Enter Jakobi Meyers. Let's keep it real. Meyers isn't the flashiest guy, but he's one of the most reliable receivers in the league. Last season with the Raiders, 87 catches, 1,027 yards, 4 touchdowns. And this was in an offense that was a complete mess, with quarterback instability all year. At 6'2", 200 pounds, he's got size, he's a polished route runner, and he thrives on third downs. You know how many third down conversions he's had the past 2 years? 44. That's elite territory. And for a young QB like J.J. McCarthy, who's gonna need that safety blanket, Meyers is exactly the kind of guy who can keep drives alive and take pressure off Justin Jefferson. O'Connell's system is all about timing, spacing, and exploiting mismatches. Meyers is a perfect fit because he doesn't rely on speed or highlight plays. He relies on precision and consistency. That's exactly what this offense needs alongside JJ and now Thielen. The big picture, now let's talk about the bigger picture. With Thielen back, the locker room gets a veteran leader who knows what it means to be a Viking. You pair him with JJ, add in Jakobi Meyers, and suddenly this wide receiver room goes from question mark to one of the most dependable in the NFL. And think about it this way, Meyers is 28 in his prime and has never had issues off the field. He's the type of guy you can trust to be there every Sunday. That's the kind of reliability the Vikings need if they're serious about contending this year. I know some fans will be torn about losing Addison. He's young, he's talented, and he flashed last year. But at the end of the day, you can't build your offense around guys who might not be on the field. The Vikings are saying, we're going all in. We want stability, we want reliability, and we want guys who can help us win now. So let me throw it to you, Vikings Nation. Do you think the Vikings are making the right call moving Addison for Jakobi Meyers? Would you rather ride with the young guy and hope he figures it out? Or do you agree that it's time to bring in a proven, reliable veteran to support JJ and Thielen? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear from you, because this move could define our season. And don't forget, if you're as fired up as I am, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and share this video with your fellow fans. We've got a wild season ahead of us, and I'll be here breaking it all down with you every step of the way. Skol Vikings.